Welcome to the TLW Podcast. I'm Jonathan Pixley here with my co-host and partner, Dr. Sean Owens. Dr. Owens, welcome back as always.
Coach, glad to be here, brother.
We have another super exciting guest for us today, Langston Galloway, who is a Baton Rouge native who has impacted a lot of people in a lot of different ways, not just on the basketball court. Langston, thank you for being here.
No, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I'm excited to, talk about life.
No doubt. Reason we had Langston on, same reason we have our other guests on, is he has a unique story. And his story is, yes, embedded in the game of basketball for sure, but as you'll find out as we go through these things, it's simply the vehicle that he has used to impact people. And we're going to get all the way down to the Langston Galloway Foundation, which is doing so many things for so many different people right now as well. But Lang, before we get into, I guess, any of those details, what I want to do is I want the audience to hear your story. Okay. Because again, you have a very unique story. And here at TLW, we are huge on growth mindset, on the positivity that it takes in order to have a growth mindset. And it doesn't matter the industry that you're in. If you were going to be successful, like somebody like you, for example, you could be successful at whatever you wanted to do. Absolutely. Because of your mindset. Right. And so why don't you give people kind of the timeline of your career on the basketball court, starting at high school at Christian Life, which I have a funny story that I'll tell a little bit later in the podcast about that. But all the way up really, through St. Joe's to being undrafted and then being with the Knicks and then your NBA career and then to where you are today. Also, want you to touch a little bit on your Team USA experience, okay, which people aren't as aware of as they should be, in my opinion.
Yeah. I'll start with the I guess you say the synopsis of what I am and what continues to drive me every single day, and it's like the three things I live by: hard work, dedication, and sacrifice. Those three things are like what make me who I am today, and that's when I was little. Not saying I knew what that meant at the time, but I was just going. And so now looking back and thinking back about how my career has went thus far, the ups and downs, the weaves, all that. I look, those three things are, want to give that to the audience of like, that's the three things I live by and go by, on a day in, day out basis. But yeah, Christian Life, man, what can I say about that story? We won a lot of games while it was still in existence. Won a lot of games.
4 state championships?
4 state championships, yeah. I started high school ball 8th grade year. I could have did 7th grade, but I ended up stepping back. My dad and me were like, kind of hesitant to play. Had a heck of a squad. Great coach at the time, Todd Foster. It was, just the day in, day out of like how far he pushed everybody on the team, not just myself, but everybody individually wise. And we won 4 state championships, lost my junior year to another great talent, Matt Derenbecker, that really was impactful for me because he's one of my great friends, God rest his soul. But that was just a nutshell of like playing against the top players all around the country. We traveled California, we went to Texas, Houston, Florida, you name it, we played everywhere. And so high school was like a culmination of like all that, just playing against the best talent all over the country, just trying to, get your name on the radar. And not to mention like my teammates too. My teammates were very talented, very dynamic. I'll say that because we had guys from all over walks. Like you had guys from Africa, you had guys from Brazil, you had guys from Poland, you had guys from Baton Rouge. It was unbelievable. The talent that we had on our team. Now looking back, we can recruit now. Back then, I don't think we could recruit. But that was it was crazy how they all came together. So that was high school. Like I said, won a lot of games. But that was like a pivotal point, and I'll make this real short. It was a pivotal point in my career because I was close to quitting basketball my 8th grade year. Like all my friends could tell you, like being coached by Todd Foster is the hardest thing you can ever do in life. and I was glad that I was taught early on of like how disciplined you had to be, how focused, how mentally strong you had to be, and mental fortitude is a real thing. So you know, we would have basically like a quote unquote like retreat, 4-day retreat, and it was like a tryout all at the same time. And so went through the retreat, got through it, and I remember I think day 2 we just had just a lot of running going on, and I was just like, I went home, I was like kind of upset, crying, like telling my dad, like, I don't think I could do this. He's like, you know, if you get through this, there'll be nothing else in the rest of your career that'll ever stop you. And I was like, all right. And I went back to the drawing board and mentally like, just let me just keep going, keep building. And I think that, you know, looking back, that's what shaped my career. And I know that's kind of long-winded with the high school piece, but that was like kind of like a huge piece of like how my career, you know, got going from there. Started receiving letters when I was 8th grade, and it took off from there. I mean, schools all over the country recruited me. Could have played anywhere, but ended up choosing St. Joe's. So I go up to St. Joe's. I know a lot of people maybe not even know this story. The reason why I chose St. Joe's, so my mother is from Philadelphia. So being from Louisiana, growing up here, I would always in the summertime go to Philadelphia to play basketball. So that was like my second home. Like summertime, I would leave and I would just go up there and just playing against pros in the pro-ams, pickups. I mean, working out with my uncle. He's was assistant coach at St. Joe's when I got there. He wasn't there when I was growing up, but he was, you know, just moving around different teams. And so to go from Baton Rouge and then say, hey, I want to go to Philadelphia and play, a lot of people here in Louisiana was shocked. They were like, interested to see, you know, how it's going to turn out, because I had made my mark in Louisiana, had a great career here in Louisiana, but I felt like, you know, there was a little bit of missing touch between myself and staying here, that I said, hey, look, I might as well go and really make an impact, make a huge splash. And so leaving, going to Philly, like I said, we had Phil Martelli as the head coach at St. Joe's at the time. My uncle was assistant coach, a couple other assistant coaches that were really good. Our recruiting class was amazing. We had about 3 or 4 guys that were top 50 in the country. Myself, I was outside of the top 50, but I was still like highly recruited, like from this region. So we also had Pat Swillen. Pat Swillen was also coming up there with me as well, down in Brother Martin from New Orleans. So we had a heck of a squad coming in freshman year, and so St. Joe's was kind of like rebuilding, trying to figure it all out, trying to get their footing again. And I feel like my class, we struggled, took a lot of lumps my freshman year, but put a lot of work in. Got to second year, I think I could have had a chance to come out. Not as known back then to come out early, but I wish I would have known a little bit more. Like if it was today's world, I would have came out early, but that's here nor there. Third year, solid year, not the best, but it got me through. Fourth year, I tore it up. Like really, we won this A10 championship. I broke 3-point records, finished second all-time leading scorer at St. Joe's history. So, I mean, I really left my mark there at St. Joe's, and it was a great just 4 years. So that was great.
So the audience will want to know the local members for sure.
Yeah,
Why not
LSU?
LSU?
You know, my guess is probably best as yours, but when I was coming through, Trent Johnson was the coach, and this is no knock on Trent Johnson or the assistants that were there at the time. I was sold on going to LSU. I was sold. Like myself, we had myself, Brian Williams, Markel Brown, Matt Derenbecker, and then there was I think 1 or 2 other kids that were like trying to go there. And they just didn't recruit the guys out of Louisiana. It was weird. Like they offered everybody, but it wasn't like a, hey, like look, we're gonna really pursue you. And you know, like you wanna, like if you're dating a girl, like you're gonna pursue her, like you're gonna really pursue her, and she's gonna be like, oh, okay, you really want me, I'm gonna go with you. But it wasn't like that. It was like well, you owe us to come to Louisiana, come to LSU. And I was like, well, that's not really the case. Like I'm not. So that kind of was the thing that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And one thing that stuck with me, hopefully you can hear everything, it was either you could be a small fish in a big pond or a big fish in a small pond.
That's right.
And so that was kind of something that one of my friends that told me back in the day. He said, man, look, you could pick between the two. I mean, it don't matter where you want to go, and I end up deciding to leave.
Still worked out, right? I mean, I had a similar situation where when I signed with Sanford, where I wanted to go somewhere I was going to play 25, 30 minutes a night as a freshman.
Yep.
And you can get your name on the map anywhere.
Yes.
And you definitely got your name on the map very quickly at St. Joe's, to the point where you're coming out and, you know, you've always played the underdog role very, very well. There's no question about that. And again, that leads back to your mindset. But talk a little bit about going into the draft process and what it was like when you realized, I'm not drafted, so what do I do now?
Yep. So went to obviously working out. I stayed up at school. I was like, yo, I'm gonna just stay here, work out. I got all the coaches here. I can work out. It was a weird process because I was killing workouts. I was going to New York. I was going to Indiana. I was going to Miami. I was having really good workouts. There was a couple that I struggled in, but from a nutshell, like I was really playing well. And I was like, well, you know, if I give myself a chance, I can at least, you know, get on the board. They can try to just say, take me, and then I, you know, figure out, you know, hey, go to G League, whatever the case would be. So long story, draft night goes, and don't hear my name called. So I'm like, all right, well, you know, what could it be? Like, I'm thinking in my mind, what could it be? At the time, I heard a lot of like bad feedback in the sense of you're a dinosaur because you played 4 years.
You were too old.
Yeah.
At 22?
At 22, yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy to say that. And I was shocked. I was like, wow, like, you know, I feel like I could bring a lot to a team, whatever team that was. And so me and my agent, we talked the next day after the draft was over with. And he was like, look, it's between two teams. Like, you can figure out, like, you can go to Indiana, you can go to New York. You can figure out which situation you want to go to. You know, I think we kind of like really just threw it in the air. Like, all right, let's see which situation is better. Which state do we want to go to? And I was like, well, I want to go to New York because it's close to Philly. My family can come visit. I can go move around. Also, too, they were starting a G League team up. So I was like, well, everything is right there. If anything failed, I can still go to G League and still, you know, pursue my dreams. Get there, play well. All through summer league, got the summer league. Then I got the training camp, made that roster. Then, like, we were literally preseason, the last cut. I'm in the last cut. Me and Travis Wares, the other guy that was there. And it was like, all right, we have a lot of guards. We don't have that many bigs, so they end up going with him instead of me. You know, I understood, but I was frustrated because I felt like I put all my eggs in one basket. But that's not to say that, hey, you can go get some more eggs and put more in the basket. But that was just like, I was the end all be all. I was like, look, I'm so close to my dreams, I got to get there. And so when I didn't get signed to the team, they said, hey, look, we're going to make you, at the time, it was called, quote unquote, the assignment guys. So basically, you're not a G League guy, and you're not an NBA guy yet, but you're like the in-between. Like, you're trying to figure out how can you get from the assignment guy to being as a roster guy. And so, I went 19 games, January 7th. I remember to this day. Allen Houston was the one that called me. He was the GM of the squad. He called me. He was like, yo, we're going to call you in a few minutes to get you a car. The Knicks going to call you up, and hey, the rest is history. And so went down. First game, jitters, man. I was nervous. I kid you not. But actually, and it's so funny. My first game was against Garrett. It was so funny. Garrett was the first game. I mean, not
Garrett
saying
Temple, yeah.
Yeah, Garrett Temple. We took a picture right before the game. I still had that picture like framed up somewhere in my house. But that was my first game in the NBA. But my matchup was John Wall. Like, I was coming off the bench, and I was like, man, this is gonna be crazy. And I remember all my friends calling me like, man, don't get crossed up, man. Like, this is da-da-da-da. I'm like, all right.
Thanks for the encouragement, guys.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it. So, yeah, that was amazing right there.
That same picture that you're talking about, I don't know if it was you or Garrett sent it to me.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget it. I still got it on my phone. But So you play, what, almost 50 games, I think, with the Knicks that year.
Yeah, 45 games.
But you make second team all rookie.
Second team all rookie was crazy. It's crazy. What a 45 games.
And you were a fan favorite.
Yeah.
In Madison Square Garden. I remember
Yes.
watching you play on TV and they loved you.
Yeah.
And talk about what it's like to be in that moment, to be in Madison Square Garden, playing against the best players in the world, but knowing, look, I got to go kill these guys.
Yeah. I mean, it was no time for me to like look up and say, hey, I'm here, like I've arrived. It was no time because that's the one thing that people don't realize about the NBA is that every single night there's a new matchup. There's somebody that literally either you're going to get killed or he's going to kill you. like you have to go out there and kill somebody or somebody's going to kill you. So it's like it's no time to think. You just have to just go. And so I really wasn't on my phone too much, doing too much. I mean, obviously, yeah, you're a kid, you're just having a good time, you're enjoying it. But I was head down, like focused on like the goal, the task at hand. Obviously, I wanted to be a part of the team, 10 days and get, signed for 2 years. But I mean, talk about my matchups. Like in 1 week, I had CP, so Chris Paul. I had Russ the next night. Then I think 2 nights later, I had Isaiah Thomas. And then I think like a couple nights later after that, I had I'm trying to think. I had Ish Smith. But Ish Smith is like everybody talks. Oh man, he's not that. Ish Smith is fast as can be. Like he's lightning, like a bottle of lightning. And it's unbelievable. So
no nights off.
No nights off. So I had no time to think. I just played. I just kept playing, and my confidence kind of grew as time went on, and the fans were behind me, like I said, and I think my whole career has like been just that. It's just like I can't really look up too fast to like look around me and observe and enjoy the moments. I just kind of take it day in, day out, and just continue to build.
Looking at the dream and also the reality of being a professional basketball player, can you look back in your life, young Langston Galloway, and pick out a specific age or moment when it was a dream? And then also, can you pick out a specific moment whenever you realized I am good enough and this is something that I am going to wholeheartedly 100% pursue?
I think the first moment, it was actually in college when I was playing. So like I said, playing in the summer times, all the pros are basically from Philadelphia. A lot of pros are. Mm-hmm. And so they all would come back home in the summertime. And so there was a guy, Chuck Ellis, he would always, line up guys to come through St. Joe's, or we go to Temple, or we go to LaSalle, we play pickup. And this moment was, all right, you got Evan Turner, he was the number 2 pick that year. You had Lou Will, that was already dominating for the Sixers. You had Gerald Henderson, you had Wayne Ellington, you had Dion, like all these guys are like Philly guys, like they Philly legends, and it's like, all right, I'm able to line up against them, and I'm a big competitor, like I'm the biggest competitor you could think of, and I'm like, all right, let's see where I stand against these guys, and so to have that moment right there and playing against them, and I held my own, and I remember walking away like, oh, I did my thing here. Like if I can do my thing against him, not saying like summertime is like everybody doesn't play really that, physical defense and all that, but still it's like a moment of like.
It's like a benchmark basically.
Yeah, it's like, all right, I can play against him. Like I can score. Like it doesn't matter what size, like I'm 6'1", 6'2", but I can still score with anybody. It don't matter who it is. So I was like, okay, that was the first moment. The second moment of like me just, I guess you say like, the mentality of it all, I would say that's more so of like how I've always approached it, in the sense of like how to grow, I won't even say my game, but just mentally of how I can grow my mentality of the day in, day out of like how to get better. And I think that was more so the mindset of like, how can I get better? Like, and I'm still getting better to this day. Like, like that's where I never looked at like, all right, I'm this age, just got that age. I just said, hey, I'm gonna just see where I'm at. There's always like a measuring stick, and I think that sticks with me to this day.
Love that.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a funny story that wasn't so funny at the time. We go way back, and trained together a little bit, but also I remember you playing bitty basketball.
Yeah, I do remember
at
that.
Dunham.
At Dunham,
okay.
yeah.
anyhow, so when I became the coach at Dunham, you were at Christian Life. I'm pretty sure it was your senior year.
Yep.
And we came to Christian Life.
Okay.
And we were coming into play.
Okay.
And we had a pretty good team,
Yep.
but not as good as you guys. But I remember walking in the gym. We got there early, right before JV game, whatever. And you guys are out there shooting. And I'm sitting on the sideline just taking it all in. And normally in that situation, you would have at least come up, hey, coach, how you doing, whatever. You didn't. And you're sitting at the free throw line, and you not only did you not acknowledge me, you didn't acknowledge your teammates. Like, he's so locked in, shooting free throws. He's not talking to anybody. I was like, I told one of my assistants, I was like, something's up with Lang. I don't know what it is. So about 30 points later, and about a 30-point victory later for y'all, I remember going through the handshake. I was like, I think we lost by 30, but it might as well have been like 100.
Yeah.
And I remember shaking your coach's hand at the time, and I said, what's the deal? What happened? He goes, oh, you don't know. And I said, no, I had no idea. He said, some of your guys were running their mouth before the game, and they were talking about how they were going to shut down Langston and this and that. And to see the competitive fire, not looking back on that moment,
Yeah.
and knowing that, and I remember seeing you not long after that, and I was like, dude, I had no idea. He was like, no, coach, I figured you didn't. But yeah, I saw it at 18 years old, 17 years old, whatever it was at the time.
Yeah.
I saw that same competitive fire in a gym against a team that we didn't have any business playing with him. But just to see that and recognize that was incredible. Do you remember that by chance?
It's funny. I remember some of the guys on the team that were talking. I do remember the moment of them talking and saying something and saying, "Oh, we're gonna shut that." I'm like, it sounds good. It's so funny because Brandon Dentley, he brought it to me recently. Because we play golf all the time, and he's on the course. Man, bro, you remember that? I was like, at the time I didn't, but now you saying it, I do remember who was talking, and I remember like. I can't remember names. I see faces right now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, that definitely wake me up most times.
What was practice like the next day?
Well, it's probably that way for a few more than just the next day.
No, good for you.
But I'll never forget this. I'll never forget this. Walking into the locker room after the game in y'all's gym.
Yep.
And I walked in to the guys. I said, hey, not going to talk about this. We'll flush this and move on. But understand this. Sometimes when you ask for something, remember, you get exactly what you asked for.
Yeah.
Please remember that moving forward, right? And so, needless to say, we weren't talking much after that. But it was pretty funny. Okay, let's talk a little bit because you and I reconnected during COVID.
Yes.
Right,
yes.
and you were with Detroit at the time.
Yep, I was with Detroit. Yep.
Right, had a great season actually.
Yeah.
And then I don't think y'all made the bubble.
Nope, we didn't.
And so you were back in town.
Yeah, I was here.
And so that was when and we had Skylar Mays on a previous podcast, and he was going into his rookie year. You came in and you were willing to help mentor him and get to work in as well. And I'll never forget just watching the level of work, the consistency, everything that you did are the things that you're talking about. But talk about the difficulty of that time period and what you had to do to kind of get not just through it, but get better through it.
Yeah, I mean, man, it was a tough period in a sense of, number one, when the whole bubble situation started, right? So we're playing in Philadelphia, which is so crazy. We're playing in Philadelphia. I get whispered on the end of the bench. I'm sitting at the end of the bench, sitting next to my teammate. He's not playing. He's like, I think the league's about to get shut down. Like, he's seeing them talking about Utah, like guys are, sick. They don't know what's going on. They're about to shut the league down.
Rudy Gobert.
Yep. And so I'm like, uh-oh, like this is not good. So game ends. We go in the locker room. One of my teammates is coughing, just like didn't feel good. I'm telling our team, Doc, hey, look, get him a mask, like, cause I don't know what this is. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
I had just had my son at the time, and I'm like, look, I just don't know what's going on. So just cover him up. Let me go out here, see my family. And so I'm in the stands, just like talking to my family, like talking to them, and then all of a sudden, like somebody runs up to me in the stands, like which is another like one of our media guys. He's like, "We need you to come and make a statement," because I'm like, most teams I've played on, I've been the leader or like a guy, like a vocal guy that can kind of talk amongst like the media or like anything that goes on. So they run up there and tell me, "Hey, we need you right now." And I'm telling my family, "Look, I don't know what's going on, but look, just be careful, everybody, and I hope I see y'all soon." So they pull me back. We're talking in the back with the media. They said, "Hey, look, we heard the league's about to shut down." I said, "I don't know, what's going to happen, but moving forward, let's just pray for everybody and just keep pushing forward." And so we get to, fast forward a couple weeks. Season's done. They shut it down. I had my mother-in-law living with me at the time. I'm like sending her home before they closed down airports. Like probably like a week later, they shut down all the airports. Everything was done. Like the world stopped. And so fast forward again, finally coming out of the bubble, I'm like, all right, we're not going to the bubble. From a Detroit Pistons standpoint, we were kind of struggling that year. No sight of the playoffs. They were like, look, we're going to take, I believe, 16 teams or something like that. Well, I think it was, no, they took 22
it was more than that.
teams. They took 22 teams, and it was 8 teams that didn't go. So we were one of the 8 teams that didn't make it. So I'm like, all right, well, what am I do? Like workout wise, like, cause I was still, trying to stay active, trying to make sure, I'm riding my bike, running around, doing different things like that, just to stay active. I started training people, like to stay active. I actually like went and got my NASM certification to be a trainer. So I was like, all right, well, that's fun. Then when I hit you up and was like, yo, like, it'd be perfect. I could work out with you guys. Cause I didn't know anybody was working out. I thought all the gyms were closed.
Yeah.
And then I saw Scholar.
They were.
Yeah. And so I was like, oh, that's perfect. Let's go over and work out. So, getting in there with Scholar, like, that was perfect. Like, obviously he was trying to figure out, his next step. I was trying to help him, as best I could, because people don't know this. Like Ronald Dupree, Garrett Temple, and Darnell Lazar are like the bane of my existence with getting into the league and getting my footing there. Those 3 were like huge, pivotal people to help me go through this whole process. Like Ronald Dupree is the main reason, because at the time, college, I couldn't afford to pay for training. I couldn't pay for none of that. He's like, yo, I got it, don't worry about it. And he literally paid for everything. So he's the main reason of me being where I'm at today. So I give him a lot of kudos, a lot of shout out. That's big bro. He always gonna be that. And so fast forward again, seeing Scholar doing what he's doing now, to get his opportunity playing with the Lakers, different teams like that. Now he's overseas now. I mean, I'm just like, I'm always thankful to see younger guys like get the opportunity to play, but to see where he came, where he started at and where he's at now, I'm happy for him.
We talked about it too. 8 months. It was 8 months.
That was a long time. It was
time.
a lot of workouts, a lot of hours. And, it was tough. It was very difficult, very difficult.
Challenges of being a professional basketball player. I know there have to be a ton of them. If you could just give us a couple of the major ones that you've had to constantly overcome and talk about what it is that was within you that allowed you to overcome those major issues that you faced.
Yeah, I would say, I've been truly blessed that I've went throughout my career, a couple injuries, a couple nagging things here and there, but never nothing like where I've had to like really see the process and like really lean on anybody. But it's been a blessing that on the other side, I've had to sacrifice so much. I'll say that because obviously my family, not having as much time with my family. My kids now, like this summer was the most time I spent with them in the sense of like traveling around, like just trying to bring them around, like just trying to do the best I can because our time is so limited. Mm-hmm. And so those going back to my first initial thing about sacrifice, like sacrifice is the biggest and the most thing I battled with my whole life. And even when I was high school, college, like I've always put basketball number one. And not saying that that's a good thing or it's a bad thing, but I'm like, if this can pay for, my family's, just happiness or like, be able to make sure they're comfortable, like I'm gonna put my best foot forward. Like I've sacrificed, I've been vegan the last 9 years now. Like I've sacrificed eating, trying to be healthy, being lean, You name it, I've kind of sacrificed so much. So I'll say sacrifice has probably been the biggest thing for me, for sure.
Can you think, were there any specific individuals as you were growing up that modeled sacrifice that you can look back and say, yeah, I got these specific lessons from him or her?
I'd probably say my dad.
Yeah.
I definitely give him a lot of kudos because I remember when he tells me the stories of like him trying to get into the ABA and then coming back home and playing and getting hurt, and then he's like, "Yo, I'm gonna just sacrifice and just take care of my family." Because I think he just had me or something like that at the time. So I would say that probably my dad has been the biggest like influential person when it comes to sacrifice because he's the biggest gentle giant that you ever meet. Like he's 6'5", like big guy, but like
he is a big man.
Yeah, he's always like always sacrificing something like his time, his effort. Like I remember him like going to work at 4 in the morning, like getting up super early and then going to work and then come back home and I'm like, hey, can we work out? And he's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get up and work out with you. So it's like those moments, like they stand out to me for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Love that.
You obviously talked about your family, and I know how important they are to you.
Mm-hmm.
And you talked about some of the challenges that you had and have had dealing with time spent with. How have you navigated it? You and Sabrina, how long have you all been married now?
9 years now.
9 years. Okay,
yeah.
so talk about a little bit about that journey and the obstacles you've had to overcome.
A lot of people say, "Oh man, like marriage is like an easy thing," but it's like it's very difficult in the sense of, yes, we dated high school sweethearts. We were together in high school all the way through, then went to college, and then we had a long distance. So she's playing volleyball down here in New Orleans. I'm up in Philadelphia, but just trying to figure it out. And so, finally come back together, get to the pros, and to see how much she sacrificed for me. And I say that because she is one of the smartest people I know, one of the most intelligent and the most hardworking people that I know. And so to see all that she's done for me and like, all right, I'm gonna take care of the kids. I'm gonna take care of making sure everything at home is okay while when you're gone, and like, hey, like making sure the parents, tickets and just a bunch of different things. So I feel like we both have found our way in our roles to like sacrifice things for each other, because everybody says, oh, marriage is 50-50, and it's like, nah, that's not it. It's not. Sometimes it's 80-20, sometimes it's 40-60. So it just depends on the moment. And so I would give a lot of credit to her because she's sacrificed. Like she went back and got her master's at Tulane, and I was like, look, this is probably the best time to do it. Like I'm playing right now. Look, I'm just gonna try to help you as best I can. She literally sacrificed driving back and forth to Baton Rouge, from Baton Rouge to New Orleans every day, going to class. And then she graduated, I think on a Saturday. She had the baby. She had Deuce a week before that. So like a week in between. Like, so she was pregnant and graduating all the same. So I'm like, there's nothing else that you can say to me that like doesn't like exude like sacrifice, because that is the ultimate sacrifice of like you still working hard but still carrying a life, and like that.
Women are way tougher than us.
Yeah, way tougher. So I love it. That's she's the ultimate sacrifice.
Way tougher than us.
Yeah.
I want to shift gears a little bit because I think people need to hear this for sure.
Yep.
Your daily habits and your belief in daily habits and your belief in, there is A, B, and C all the way to X, Y, and Z that I've got to do every single day to stay where I need to be. You mentioned being vegan for 9 years. Can you take us through some of your have-tos?
Yeah.
Every day. I know in order for me to do what I need to do this.
Yeah, and it's so funny because you said that it hadn't changed. It might have changed the order of it. Like, for example, I still work out either basketball or lifting at 5:30 in the morning. So that hadn't changed. That's a non-negotiable. Sometimes it might be in my gym and I'm at the house, or it might be somewhere else working out with a trainer. So that's a non-negotiable. So I have to get my work in. working out 2-3 times a day, that's non-negotiable. So I have to I feel like every summer I sign a contract. Look, I got to be in the gym 2-3 times a day. Like that's whether that's like I said, the weights, basketball, another basketball, running on the track or running out here, and like I've learned like just incorporate different things. Like that's a non-negotiable for me. Like that's what's kept me along this ride for so long. So I'm like, there's no way I can change that, And then my kids, they see that now. They're like, man, Dad works hard. Like, where you going now? You gonna work out? You gonna do? Like they see it. So it's like, not saying I'm trying to instill that in them, but I just want to make sure that they understand. Look, this is what Dad has to sacrifice to make sure that, hey, there's food on the table, like there's a roof over your head, like all that is non-negotiable. And then, off the court now, it's a lot of business now. It's like being more efficient with my time, making calls. I got ethics, my shoe brand. I'm building that up, trying to figure out how to make that make sense for a lot of people. I think that we're starting to gain some traction, gain some like resilience with how we built it, and so I'm excited about that. And then the foundation, like that's another thing that we've kind of like tried to lay our make sure our kind of like pillar is in the ground when it comes to impacting the youth. And so I feel like we've impacted over the last 9 years. I mean, so many kids, and so I have kids coming up to me now like just running to me randomly like, hey man, I was at your camp this year, and I was MVP. And I'm like, wow, that's crazy. I'm like, what are you doing now? Well, I'm working for this. I still remember what you told me this. I'm like, man, that's unbelievable. So going back to what we just talked about, like my dad, I remember him having so many kids. When I was growing up with him, seeing so many kids come up to him like, man, your dad coached me and he did this. And he still helps me to this day with what he said to me. And I'm like, wow, like that's unbelievable. So yeah, no, it might be a different way of impacting, like, just being, a split second of somebody's time to give them some motivation, give them some of like what can inspire them, for the people that we've been around, different players that I brought to the camps, different coaches that have coached at the camp. So yeah, no, that's really been the most like just pivotal moment for me, those 3 aspects of my life that are non-negotiables.
So creature of habit, huh?
Creature of habit, yeah.
So speaking of habits, typical game day routine, is there something that you have specific and dialed in? And if so, what are you typically working with?
It's changed over the years, and not in the sense of like from the team perspective, more so like just how it unfolds now. Like this year, I'm normally the first one at the gym. Like first one at the gym for shoot around, first one at the gym.
This doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, I'm normally the first one. It's because I like to shoot. I don't like to have anybody else's basketball hitting my basketball. I want to make sure I'm locked in, make sure it feels good. I'm like, Pix can tell you, like I'm a wrist guy. Like if my wrist is firing, it's gonna be a good night. If my wrist isn't firing, like I'm trying to change stuff up, it's not gonna be a good night. So
just to cut in real quick before he finished to finish his workouts whenever we were doing it together, I think you had to make 5 in a row from 7 spots, all net.
Yep.
No run.
And so he's saying that, right? So think about that. So that was how many years ago was that?
Well, COVID, so it's 20.
So 5 years ago? 5 years ago. So now I'm doing 10 now.
Yeah, there you
so
go.
now it's 10. Now it has to be 10. I was telling one of my guys I'm like shooting with, he's like, man, I've never seen nobody like in a workout, like we're doing something. He's like, all right, just make a couple. I'm like, no, I got to make 5 in a row. I got to make 6 in a row.
I love the elevation from 5 to 10.
Yeah, it's like you have to like, I'm not saying it becomes easy. It's just because you want to challenge yourself.
Yeah,
it's like that's where
the continued growth mindset.
Yeah. Continue growth. I mean, this is exactly what you guys are building, and I mean, I think that's where I am. I'm always growing, like just challenging myself, and how can I continue to get better. But back to like I said, first one in the gym, shoot around, like to get my shots up, stretches. So do that, get some shots up after shoot around. Not much, more so just to feel, make sure everything is good. Then come back right before the game, shoot it right before everybody starts coming on the court for their shooting times. I keep it very simple. I like to move around the arc, 2s, 3s, a little bit off the bounce, deep, and then some finishes, and then that's it. I go back in the back. I do like my recovery machines. I'm sitting down, relaxing. more so mentally, just locked in, just thinking about, and visualizing. I'm a big visualizer. I like to visualize, like, how am I going to attack this game? What's my matchup? Like, what do I need to be focused on? How are they going to defend me? Like most teams overseas, and it's so funny because I'm not the pivotal guy in the locker room. Like I'm saying in the sense of like the guy on the board in other locker rooms. Like most of the times I'm the guy in the locker room. They're gonna put my name up there. Hey, we got to stop him. We stop him, we win. Now it's become, okay, that's a given. Like we don't have to even write that up there. We have to stop him. Like they're putting their best defender on me every single night. So it's like, all right, if we stop him, we're like, we have to stop this guy. Like it's just like it's always like that's and I'm not saying that's been my whole career, but it's like it's just another challenge. And how do I like become better? How do I, because it's like now I'm working on different things, how to get more physical in screen play, like how to ball, get more physical with guys, to get more separation. It's just like just small stuff that I'm adding to the game just to make sure that I can, deal with everything that they throw at me, because these coaches overseas, man, they throw the whole book at you and they try to figure out, they try to make sure they can stop you.
I'm making sure I kept count of this correct. You're saying on a game day, and this is for not just young basketball players, but for anybody who's trying to do anything special with anything they do, on a game day, you have 3 different shooting segments prior to playing a game.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
3.
Yeah.
Mark that down, guys. Okay, so you mentioned briefly the foundation, and
Yep.
I would like you to talk about that a little bit.
Yep.
2 things. Why did you form it, first of all? A little more specific than just to help others, right? I know you have your reasons for it. And then basically, what does it provide?
Yeah, so Langston Galloway Foundation, it's all about health, well-being, and mental wellness. So those 3 areas of kind of like, how can we create sustainable, I don't want to say business, but it kind of is a business, on how to help the community with school when it comes to healthy eating for different programs. So like last year we had Thrive Academy. So Thrive was one of our kind of like programs that we picked. We said, okay, we're going to help Thrive. Every single game day, they have a healthy meal. So that's before the game, that's after the game, and then I'm coming in, banquets if they need me to come through, if that's to come out and speak to the kids on a Zoom or something like that, because I'm not here most of the times, but just trying to impact the youth as best I can. And so that's just one aspect of what we're building. The next aspect is like giving out scholarships. We've started that over the recent 4 or 5 years. We've given out scholarships to Southern University, BRCCs, and I'm saying like scholarship, I'm saying money towards their scholarship. BRCC, Southern University, LSU, I believe something like that, one of the other schools out there. But just trying to give out, money towards the kids, because now the game is changing now. You need money to, to fund different things, books, housing, you name it. And so those 2 areas are like really impactful in what we've seen with kids. The third area, we've been trying to go around Baton Rouge and trying to refurbish basketball courts, trying to give life back to the communities. We've done Longfellow Park. We've done Gus Young. We've done, what's the other one that we did? And then we did Avenue D. Avenue D has been the 3 that we've done. And so we've been just trying to go around the city, trying to refurbish courts, trying to help out as best we can. We put down some really good courts that the kids have been out there using. So I'm happy to see that. But just trying to impact the youth, like I said. And so the foundation is multi-tiered. And the last part is kind of like what's to come is we really want to, make a huge splash in helping basketball, and it's no knock to the other sports like baseball, football, soccer, whatever you say, but basketball is in my opinion, has always been the thriving force for a lot of kids. And that's not to say some of the kids play basketball and play football too, like they play both sports, but a lot of kids, they need somewhere, a house or like a home to go to. And it's like, how can we find a way to like, start bringing it back together and trying to bring more kids in. So this upcoming year, we have a lot on our plate. We want to elevate the game of basketball again and really try to bring a lot of attention to Baton Rouge, especially, but just the surrounding areas, trying to figure out how can we get kids back to work out and be a part of like what we're building.
Last question for you. So in 8th grade, you thought about quitting.
Yep.
You get past that. 15-year-old Langston Galloway. If you're 33?
33 now, yep, 33,
Okay.
yep.
So at 33 years old today, been through everything you've been through, you can offer 15-year-old Langston Galloway one piece of advice. What would it be?
I would say the best advice I would have for myself is never, I don't want to say scared of anything, but I would say just be, and this is going to come off weird, I guess you could say, be paranoid, but don't be paranoid. And I'll say that, and I'll explain what I'm trying to say. In the sense of, when I think about myself at 15, I wish I would have worked on a little bit more of the fundamentals of the game, even off the court too, like understanding like school, I have to be really great at school, or I won't be able to go and help myself if I wanted to, because like you think about it now, with NIL, if I'm 15 and I think, okay, the next 4 years is my biggest window that I have, because I have to literally find a way to have the most like interest of anybody to be able to bring, deals, being able to take care of my family. Not saying that that's what you have to do, but I'm saying like just to think of like the whole perspective. If I was to say, how can I, at this age, and then looking back to that, how could I do all of that now? Like that, it's interesting to say, and I say the paranoid per se, because basketball, internationally, you have to compete against the whole world now. Mm-hmm. The whole world is fundamentally sound. And I remember you were teaching fundamentally sound back then, and still to this day, I'm not saying it's not, you don't, but it's so funny because the kids that you taught, they were doing 2-foot stops, the up and unders, the small things that I wish I would have had then, and to add it to my game now. Like I'm looking back, I'm like, dang, I should have added that. I don't know why I didn't add it then. And now, like I'm doing it now, and I'm like, you can kill anybody you play against because of the fundamentally sound aspect of it. So I would say, and I'll try to phrase another word, not paranoid, but I'll say, I say more mentally fortitude and more, trying to think of a better word for you. More instructional based, I'll say that. More instructional based in the sense of like how to take my game and change it in a way of like how they're teaching it overseas. I say that. And that's what I like phrase it from the sense of like not just basketball, but off the court too, because I talk to the kids now overseas, like last year, Italy, the year before that, Italy, all the kids, all they want to do is they wake up, they go play basketball. They come home, go to school, come back, basketball, go to sleep. But like, that's all they do. Like, they don't do anything. I mean, yes, they go out and hang out with their friends, but they eat, sleep, like basketball. And it's like, they're trying to catch up. And sometimes I think over here, we're trying to like, it's cool, it's whatever. Like, and that's with any sport. I'm saying that like, you have to be just thinking of the outside in. You can't look at like your surroundings because, okay, I might be better than you, but it's like, there's a kid over here that I don't even know. I can't even see him. So that's the reason why I said paranoid. And I'll just stick with that word because that's probably the best word to say it, because you don't see everything. And it's like having faith. Like, you just got to know that, hey, there's somebody else out there that's working just as hard as me. Basketball on the court, whether that basketball, football, soccer, anything, all across the world, they're doing something extremely hard, and you got to figure out how to be a part of that 0.01%. That's what it is. That's what it takes. You got to be paranoid to get there.
Let's call it productive paranoia.
There you go.
I like that.
I like it.
Productive paranoia. There you go.
I like it.
Tia, got it.
Well, we're going to wrap it up, but Lang, as always, man, greatly appreciate you being a part of this.
For sure.
Really, really good stuff for our viewers. And wish you nothing but the best moving forward. I know you're going to be in Turkey this year.
Yep.
And you'll go kill it over there too, just like you always do. And that's it for us at the TLW Podcast. We'll wrap it up here. We look forward to seeing you next time. Go get it.